We can go right to Kyle because I know he's chomping at the bit here after all the jokes all off season.
I'm not chomping at the bit at all, man. I'm just
as he puts on his muscle man hat. Dude, those are
go ahead. You were saying?
So Bears win 25-24. Obviously, they cover as 4.5-point dogs, 49.5 points. The under barely hits there. Vegas almost got that one right on the dot. My number from this one, Kyle, and you'll love this, 63%. That was the Bears' rushing success rate in this game. Swift goes for over 100. It was 38% the first 5 weeks. We talked about how their inability to run the football was hampering this offense. Well, they flipped the script against the Commanders.
Look, it was a fun night of football. Seeing a guy like Bijan go for 81, we'll get to that. But the Bears, my number was 4. Okay, that's DeAndre Swift. And I didn't realize the pack-a-punch that exists in this guy if you can actually get a hat on a hat in the running game. And also, I give a lot of credit to Ben Johnson for featuring Darnell Wright in a lot of these run schemes. Because when you've got a big guy that can move like that has the length, the ability to take two, and in the 4-minute situation, not 4-minute, the game-winning drive, you saw them go behind Darnell Wright. And DeAndre Swift looked to be very comfortable. He was, in my opinion, doing a great job of getting up to speed before the line of scrimmage so that when he did hit that thing, he was a blur. And if guys are engaged with the defensive lineman, that's a tough ask for any defense. If you get a hat on a hat and a running back that hits the holes with conviction that were designed and schemed up specifically for that hole. And he did that last night. I give a lot of credit to Caleb for taking care of the football. You could tell he was frustrated at certain points in the game. I think that faith ball that you and I were talking about on Twitter, JP, was the prime example of an opportunity for Caleb Williams to go in the tank mentally, and he didn't. You make a play like that with your buddy in prime time and they call it back because of a procedural penalty, an alignment penalty, that I would have lost my mind. You would have had to try to get me reeled back in, but to see Caleb keep his head, that's awesome. And for the Commanders, that guy Jaden Daniels is special, bro. And I know that there was turnovers in the football game, and the running back fumbled it, and he threw an interception on an underthrown ball over the middle. But Jaden Daniels can go, dude. And it was never more apparent to me than when he takes off running and can turn a 5-yard gain into a 20-yard gain. And he makes every team look like they're bad tacklers, and his ability to stop on a dime and watch guys go flying past him. It's eerily reminiscent of Lamar Jackson. And I think that Jaden might even be a plus runner than Lamar Jackson. And he doesn't have to press that button very much, but when he does, it's a very effective button that he presses. His ability to find guys down the field is special. I think his explosive playability, run and pass, is awesome. Dan Quinn's got a really good football team, but Ben Johnson's building a good football team in Chicago. It was exciting to watch as a Bears fan. I'm interested to hear you guys, your neutral thoughts on this game.
This was a really fun game. I have to say, like, this doubleheader, we're going to get to the other one. This doubleheader was really fun, and it was really fun seeing the Bears lean into sort of what made Ben Johnson work in Detroit, which is everything starts up front. Everything starts with winning on the offensive line. And while I do think the Commanders' defense, especially how they play defense, has a lot of warts, they are always going to try and get upfield. They are a chaos team. Washington wants to get tackles for loss. They want to get sacks. They want to create negative plays. And if they can't do that, they're going to get run off the field. And that's what you saw against Chicago, that every time they would get upfield, Ben Johnson, Detroit would just go, okay. Or not Ben Johnson, Detroit. Ben Johnson, Chicago would just go, okay, run up the field. We're going to run right where you left. And that took advantage of some of their lack of discipline in the front. And you're asking Bobby Wagner to cover for a lot of your losses up front. And Bobby Wagner, great player, not that guy anymore. He can't do everything for that defense. And I thought that the Bears did a really good job of just emphasizing some of their star players, their core players. DeAndre Swift had a great game. I thought this was the most decisive that he's looked in a game this season. Darnell Wright, you mentioned it. It was very similar to how the Lions used to run behind Penei Sewell. When things went wrong, you run behind your best players. You lean on your best players in tight situations. They leaned on Darnell Wright, and he was an absolute people mover in this game. He was the best player on the field for Chicago. And then you got some really nice opportunistic plays on defense. The fumbles were a couple of nice breaks for them, but I thought Dennis Allen really turned up the simulated pressures, really started attacking that interior offensive line, and it gave Jaden Daniels a little bit of problems. Now, Washington, they'll probably be fine, sort of, kind of. I'm a little worried about Washington this year, but this was potentially a momentum shifting win for Chicago coming out of the bye.
Yeah, you mentioned you're a little worried. I'm a lot worried about the Commanders. Not because they can't make the playoffs, not because like there's Jaden Daniels isn't the guy we thought he was. I think like all that's there. It's just because they're not really a better team than they were last year. And they had to kind of eke by to get to the NFC Championship game last year. So how is this team whose defense looks no better, not improved whatsoever from a team that, like I said, had a lot of one-score wins last season? How are they going to get over the hump? Because that's the goal, right? When you have, as we've said a lot, the Holy Grail, you have that quarterback who's dominant, getting paid like not a dominant quarterback, gets paid in the NFL. How are you going to build that around him? And just, offensively, I think they have. And obviously still doing all this without Terry McLaurin, and they'll be better when he gets back there. But defensively, they let up 25 points to the Bears, and objectively, Caleb Williams did not have a great game. Caleb Williams left probably a couple touchdowns to Rome Odunze on the field there in that game where he was wide open down the football field that could have even poured it on more on this Commanders defense. So I am worried about the Commanders and this defense. But for me, the Bears, like this was the why you hire Ben Johnson game. Again, I don't think Caleb Williams played his best outing, but you still scored 25 points. You have a backup left tackle in there and you still score 25 points that you got to scheme around. And it's like, that is what you get from a good play caller. This does not happen last season. When Caleb Williams didn't have a great game the way he did last night, they were scoring 10 points last year. Now they can actually win games when that's the case.
The best offenses are the ones that don't ask their quarterbacks to be Superman all the time. They don't have to put on that cape all the time. And Caleb Williams and the Bears, the problem, like you said, last year was Caleb Williams had to be Superman every single play. The margin for error was so razor thin that any mistake that he made was catastrophic. This year, it feels like that margin for error is widened a little bit. And that's how you could tell that the Ben Johnson effect. This game, like you said, Caleb Williams left maybe a couple plays on the board. It was not as bad as Troy Aikman was probably on the broadcast. I thought Troy Aikman was getting ready to say that Caleb Williams should not be on the field ever. But he left a couple plays on the field, but the Bears still put up 25 points. The Bears still had the effective ground game. The Bears still got really timely plays from Rome Odunze. You got timely plays from DJ Moore. You got some really important plays from a defense that really needed it. That's the type of stuff that you can carry over. That is team football. When you talk about complementary football, that is complementary football. Everybody pitching in to the win. And it feels like the Bears, this could be a positive step towards maybe a playoff push. We don't know what's going to happen, but this team, if they play complementary football in the NFC, anything can happen.
If you force 3 damn turnovers, excuse my language, Harry. If you force 3 turnovers and you don't win by 2 possessions, and you don't if you force 3 if you're +3 in the turnover ratio and you don't win by 2 possessions, that's a red flag for me. So while we're here and we're celebrating the run game, and I understand getting excited about guys like Swift and Rome Odunze and Caleb Williams getting absolutely clobbered by Luvu and staying in the football game. By the way, what a shot by Luvu on the sideline. You got to win by more than 1 point, okay? This is the sobering thought that I'm having this morning, is that we didn't tackle well early in the game. There was no contain rush etiquette, as it were. And the one guy you said can't win the game almost won the game for the Washington Commanders. So I have some pause on the playoff talk, but I will support in full the Bears are better this year conversation.
I'm gonna end with this take, and then we'll get to the other game. Luther Burden, man, I'm excited to see what this guy would
That
Dude.
stop go. That
He
stop
got
go.
the juice.
It's just like when you see plays like that, you're just like, he's gonna be good. Like,
Can we
it's
put
like,
him where
it's hard
Olamide
not to be
Zaccheaus
good.
is? Can we put him where Olamide Zaccheaus is?
It's just reliability. He's a rookie. We'll get him up to speed. But
Get
once
him
he's
out
up to
there.
speed, he's averaging over 3 yards per route right now. That is an elite figure in the NFL. He's averaging over 3 yards per route. So when he's out there, the guy is producing.